multiple myeloma, notice that wasn't on the chart, on the divisions of different kinds of lymphomas. Multiple myeloma, it's not a leukemia, it's not a lymphoma, it's its own thing, okay? So, multiple myeloma, the reason I like this, and the reason this one is heavily tested, is because it brings in a lot of stuff that you may have learned out of context back in your prior classes. Like, cool, I was wondering if I was ever going to use that stuff. Yeah, you are, with multiple myeloma, okay? Because this one's, it brings in some stuff, okay? We'll get to that, okay? First off, it's a plasma cell neoplasm, as in a new cancer, new growth from plasma cells. Do you know anything about plasma cells? Now, pretty much guarantee you've seen it before. Maybe it wasn't a big deal, maybe you didn't remember much of it, probably didn't even bring your teacher previously, probably didn't even make a big deal out of it. However, if you look at this, you may have seen this before. I know you've seen this before. If you took bio 211 here, guarantee you've seen this before, right? It was right in the middle of all that immunology garbage that is like ridiculously confusing and all of that stuff, right? These are plasma cells right here. So what you have to remember here is multiple myeloma, this is what's going cancerous on you, okay? That thing, those cells, right before they turn into antibodies, okay? So that's the big problem, okay, is plasma cells, which of course are going to wipe out your ability to have functioning antibodies, okay? You can see where this is going to be a huge immune problem to start with, which all of these are, but this is specifically how that's happening, right? And remember our B cells, right? That, again, B cells, everything else. This is like, not technically kind of a B cell, but it made it past the B cell, it just got caught at the next step with multiple myeloma, all right? So, let's go back to that. Why do those things go wonky? I don't know. We don't know. Idiopathic, that's true with most cancers, to be honest, you know. But somehow those plasma cells just decide to go crazy, okay? Now, if you look at this, they do think that in half the cases, it's a possible chromosome 13 deletion, okay? That chromosome just kind of went crazy in about half the cases, okay? Pretty sure about that, yeah?
Is just the chromosome like the entire chromosome, or is just like part of the gene?
I believe it's not the entire chromosome deleted. I think it's some of chromosome 13 got deleted.
Okay.
Could be wrong, but I think. Not that it is. It's a chromosome 13 issue. Okay? This is another one, linked to infection by human herpes virus 8. Okay? You know the human herpes, those of you who have had micro, remember herpes, the family of herpes, right? There are what, 8? The herpes virus family has a bunch of herpes viruses under it, right? 8 of those pretty much affect humans, right? So you got what, herpes simplex virus 1, which is what? Cold sores, herpes simplex virus 2.
Like canker sores.
That's the sexually transmitted infection one. You got, what else do we know that's in the herpes family?
Apparently chickenpox is.
Chickenpox, varicella zoster virus is a herpes, right? And of course shingles is a remanifestation of that. Anyway, you have basically 8 of those. The one you never talk about, hardly ever, is this one, the herpes virus 8. That one, apparently you only really see it in multiple myeloma and Kaposi sarcoma. Okay? I'm assuming no one's ever heard of Kaposi, or have you? All right, you will. Kaposi sarcoma is one of those, if somebody has Kaposi sarcoma, you're like, oh my gosh, that person, they are messed up. As in their immune system is like bottomed out. The people who get Kaposi sarcoma invariably then have HIV. No, they don't have just HIV. They have HIV that has gone so bad, it's now called AIDS, right? The difference between HIV and AIDS is HIV is the virus. When your immune system is so low, you're practically done with it. It's like so low, then we actually say you have AIDS, or full-blown AIDS, acquired immunodeficiency syndrome, right? So anyway, those are people who get Kaposi sarcoma. You just don't see it very often. So you have that and this. Pretty much it. Okay? The other herpesviruses you'll talk about a lot, you know, because they affect humans. They're pretty common. Not so much as, I mean, this is kind of a weird one. Anyway, men get multiple myeloma a lot more than women. Peak age, sadness. We'll leave it at that. Okay, so suppresses humoral immunity. Oh, this is one of those things you guys are going to hate, right? Because you're like, okay, I know I learned about humoral immunity, but what is it? Why is the humoral immunity suppressed? Do you remember the difference? What were our options? Do you remember? Humoral and... Huh?
Hormonal.
Hormonal? No, that wasn't one. Huh? Did you say Earl?
Neural.
It wasn't neural.
Neural.
Cellular. We had humoral and cellular. Those were our two big divisions. Okay? Does it say anywhere?
Yeah, at the top.
Cell-mediated, humoral. Okay? So that's all it's saying, is if you remember that the cell-mediated stuff is over there, that is beige, and the humoral is all of our blue. That's all it's saying. So again, those are our big divisions in the immune system stuff. Okay? So back to this again. So obviously, the humoral immunity, the blue side of that chart, is suppressed because that's where the plasma cells are at. Right? Anemia, of course. This is weird. Okay, this is your big thing. You do a blood test on this person, they have hypercalcemia, as in like really, really high levels of calcium in their blood. Okay, why would you have that much calcium in your blood? Right, that kind of stands out a little bit. Where is it coming from? Any ideas, by the way?
Is it coming from your bone marrow?
It's coming from your bone, not necessarily bone marrow, but it's coming from your bone. Okay, and that's the big thing, the huge thing that stands out on multiple myeloma is that hypercalcemia, basically sucking holes out of your bone. Okay, and you'll see that in a second. Once you see that, you're like, oh wow, nothing else looks like that. That's bizarre. Okay, it looks like you have termites in your bones or something. Bizarre. Okay, so back to, was it this class where we were talking about hyper and hypocalcemia earlier this semester, or was that my Bio 210? It was probably Bio 210 because was it this one?
We talked about.
You did?
Yeah. We talked
So
about.
signs and symptoms of hyper and hypocalcemia?
Yeah, it was on the first test.
Okay, fair enough. Well, here it is again. Okay, and if you remember when you had hypercalcemia, right? Because remember that's the one calcium had to do with interfering with the sodium channels and the whole action potential thing. Okay? If you remember hypercalcemia, that's the one that has all the weakness, lethargy, confusion. Things are just, again, you're not able to do your action potentials very well, slowing everything down. Okay? So if you look at all of these are all slowing everything down. The punched out lesions or punched out lytic lesions is the big buzzword or buzz phrase. That's what's happening with the bone. Okay? So these other things are because of the hypercalcemia. This is what's causing the hypercalcemia, is it's taking, like you said, the calcium out of the bone and sticking it in the blood, causing these pathological fractures. Okay? The other kind of things that are really big buzzwords for multiple myeloma is what you're going to find is this M protein. Okay? If you look at M proteins are these weird little proteins that are kind of attached I don't know, you have to see it, but either way, it doesn't matter. I'm not going to make you identify an M protein on a slide, but you should know that M proteins are now the most abundant protein in the blood. And before, what was the most abundant plasma protein? Anybody else? What's your most abundant plasma protein in your body? Albumin, right? That was one of your, okay. Multiple myeloma, now it's M protein. Okay? These malignant plasma cells are causing that to happen. Okay? The other big thing, so other than M protein, is Bence-Jones protein. Bence-Jones protein basically is, you know how antibodies are, they're like Ys, right? They look like a Y. Well, somebody like snap part of this off, and you find this broken antibodies basically. Bence-Jones proteins are broken antibodies just hanging out in the blood. It's kind of what they are. And that also says, yeah, that's a multiple myeloma thing. Okay, so those are your two big blood findings, other than hypercalcemia, of course. That are, again, very specific. Okay? Like I said before, if you see multiple myeloma on an X-ray, you're going to remember this one. And it looks like, look at those holes. When they say punched out lesions, punched out lytic lesions, it looks like somebody took some kind of a punch, you know, a little sharp little metal thing, just kind of poop, 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 pop holes in somebody's bones. Looks like they got termites in their bones or something. This may be why this person is presenting to the hospital, by the way. They may have just broken a bone in a bizarre place. Okay? I don't know that you're necessarily going to see somebody with this, because I mean, if you punched out holes in your skull like that, maybe minding their own business, like, whoa, cow, my finger's laying, you know, something weird. But these are going to, they're unusual, right? I mean, can you see that? Do you think, what is this? Is that my tibia? Fib? It's like somebody took a bite out of this dude's tibia, right? Can you imagine? That's going to break. That's going to be ugly when that breaks, right? It's just going to mind your own business, snap. Right? Chris, is this class where we saw that dude's leg was kind of, or no, that wasn't the two things. Anyway, this is pathological fracture. Mind your own business, snap, leg fall in half. This one, that was at the end of a femur, right? And both of the sides of that sucker got these big chunks out of it, these punched out lytic lesions. That's going to be ugly when that snaps, right? Is that a femur? I can't see it because I'm too close. It all looks the same, but I'm assuming there's a big hole right here. Again, these kind of breaks, we say pathological, not that any break isn't a pathological issue, but these things just break bizarre places, okay? Questions, comments? Complaints. Now that we are at the end of our time and we're done with the material, we're just going to review next time.